The Labeling Theory by Duong. The labeling theory originated in the United States during the 1960s, an era that would witness the assassination of John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech, the Vietnam War, an increased momentum in the gay rights movement, and an increase in crime across the nation. Labeling theorists place a spotlight on the role of government agencies and social processes that might have contributed to the creation of widespread crime and deviance. Prior to the creation of this theory, sociologists have centered their efforts around studying social, psychological, and biological forces outside of an individual's realm of control that may cause crime and deviance. This theory views the social world through constructionist lenses and is often referred to as a symbolic interactionism theory. It mainly focuses on deviance via interactions between deviants and the conformists, and how both groups are governed by meanings they assign to each other's actions and reactions. The American sociologist Howard S. Becker is considered a primary author of the labeling theory, but the contributions of other researchers, such as Edwin Lemert, Erik Erikson, and many more, would play a vital role in the development of the theory. Becker emphasizes on the labels of deviance and crime rather than its causes. He suggests that the labelers are authoritative figures enforcing law and order, such as policemen and judges, and that those receiving a deviant label will experience negative consequences. Lemert would introduce the idea of treatments for social problems and would categorize social deviance as primary and secondary deviance. He essentially discusses the effects of what happens before and after a deviant label is given. Labeling theorists argue that people have a tendency to act deviant if they see themselves as deviant, so that means that labeling someone as deviant might negatively influence their behavior. So for example, calling somebody an alcoholic might actually influence them to drink more alcohol than they already do, and therefore they actually become a real alcoholic. This same concept could be applied to drug addicts. Erikson would argue that deviance creates positive consequences for the communities, groups, or individuals who assign the labels. Labeling deviance within society will help with social cohesion and maintain social order. The labeling theory is primarily tested on adolescent males and females because they are more prone to receiving the juvenile and delinquent labels than adults are. There are many empirical studies that tries to understand the correlation between adolescents who receive a deviant label and the likelihood of them actually ending up in a juvenile detention. Perhaps if we stop labeling the youth as delinquent, the number of juvenile detainees might drop. Low-income and minority individuals are also tested on because they usually live in environments with high occurrences of crime and deviance. Critics say that the labeling theory fails to explain the causes of deviance. They argue against the idea that a deviant label does not encourage further deviance, and they suggest that the theory underestimates the role of powerful social, psychological, and biological forces. Knowledge of the labeling theory will help us change the way we address our youth, and beyond that, it will help us to reevaluate the influences we have when we label others as alcoholics and drug addicts. Overall, the labeling theory helps us avoid handing out stigmas to certain groups of people who do not deserve it.